You've got a QR code.
Keeps talking to this microphone too, so you have to go over here. That's for the room. This is for online. I'm just wanted to mention.
Well, then I could put this one down. You could still be able to hear me.
Hopefully. Okay.
So are we unmuted?
We are unmuted. And we are recording. And then hopefully, no. Hopefully that works. Okay. Right back.
For those of you who are online, you see the QR code. If you'll scan that, that's our attendance roster. I'll leave it up for a few more seconds. Morning, everybody. Welcome to the COSWA, the Q1 COSWA membership meeting, March 6, 2024. We are recording this. First of all, I just want to see if there are any new members, and I understand there is one. Bill, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, no, you know what? Good morning. My name is Bill, and supervisor of public works. It's my first time, so we can.
Thank you, Bill. Did I miss anybody who, go ahead. Well, welcome. How long have you been with Edmund?
On 3 months.
Welcome. I miss anybody else? All right. First of all, we wanted to recognize some of our new members and affiliates. The City of War Acres is now a new member. We have 3 new affiliates, which is the American Excelsior Company, Prairie Dirt Solutions, and Cheryl Cheadle. So welcome. As you know, our current membership is, well, you may know, our current membership is 22, and our affiliates are at 14 now, so we continue to grow. If you're interested in seeing that list, look at the URL at the bottom right. And I believe this will be posted online. Yeah, the slides will be posted online. I wanted to briefly cover our Rain Barrel grant program. We are growing in this program. We provided 8 barrels to the public since 2022. It is available. This program is available to all the membership, the affiliates, and to the public, provided that it meets our mission statement and is for educational or promotional purposes. You can see on the graph that in 2022 we provided 1. In 23 we provided 6. And in 2024, we expect to give out 9. So if you're interested in the program, the application is online, and there's the URL at the bottom of the page for that application. We do have 7 barrels available. We've already had 1 application which has been approved to date, and it is first come, first served on this program. Just to give you an idea of some of the communities that have participated to date, we've got City of Norman, the Gatewood Historic District, ODOT, OFMA, DEQ Green Team, and the one that we recently approved was Heritage Hall Environmental Science Club. The board has been pretty active. We've had a lot of guests and speakers. You know, that we've got a list of those speakers. Catherine came and talked to us in February of 23. Cheryl Cheadle provided a presentation in March of 23. Melanie Lawson, who's an Oklahoma City employee, presented to the board on January of 24. And we talked to Seth Brown in January as well. And he's the executive director of the National Municipal Stormwater Alliance. And then recently we had Will Hagenbuck present to us, and he's the lead naturalist out at Martin Nature Center in Oklahoma City. We do invite you to come and talk if you have something. I mean, whether it's a something you want to see changed, or something you think we can improve on, or something you want to do and get it on an agenda for future membership meetings, or just to talk to the board, feel free to come talk to us. We do ask that you give us at least 2 weeks notice. That way we can get you on the agenda. And just to follow up on that, our scheduled board meetings, this is more for slide purposes than anything, but these are the future board meetings that we'll be having. Our next one is March 21st. So we are introducing something new, and we're calling it the membership meeting packet. And this is really to streamline the business portion of our meetings. We're going to send it out at least 1 week prior to the membership meeting. And the whole purpose is just to wrap up all of our previous meeting minutes, our treasurer reports, any surveys or other information that we have that we want to get out to you. So you'll have to read it before, or if you're sitting down, read it during the meeting. But we're going to approve the entire packet with one vote, and this should really help out on timing. So with that, has everybody had a chance to read their email? Because I'm getting ready to make a motion to approve that packet. Anybody shake their head? No, yes. Oh, thanks, Rebecca. Okay. First of all, let me ask, does anybody have a problem, and I can't hear the folks online, but does anybody have a problem with doing in that method versus approving each treasurer report, each meeting minutes?
So with it, right, so it's on the special edition. It was included in the regular news and resources email. Yeah. And then it's also in the document.
And that's when I go through that, like I have to have kind of stage walk and time just get through. it.
Right, so the special edition,
Yeah,
really focused on it.
okay.
I'll probably do that in the future.
Listen, if everybody hasn't had a chance to review it, we can hold off until the next membership meeting. We'll just be approving 2 at that point. So, but if you're good with it, I can make a motion. Everybody good? I just need some head nods. No, yes, yes. Okay. Do what? To approve. Okay. Yeah. I'll make a motion then to approve the membership meeting packet sent out last Thursday. And did I get a second? Okay. And vote. Okay.
Ask the online people to raise their hands. I can look at that.
Yeah, for those of you who are online, please vote by raising your hands online. Okay, 5 out of 1.
I'll find out.
Wayne? We have a guest speaker today, Wayne Craney. And for those of you who are online, feel free to read his bio. I don't know if we necessarily have to do a formal introduction with Wayne. But anyway, Wayne, your presentation is titled "Things Are A-Changing." times are changing.
Times
Wayne, take it away.
are changing. Thank you.
Okay, so then forward is just like that.
Okay.
Just that,
Which
right
one?
there.
Step forward. Okay.
Yep, just tap it once.
Okay. Well, thank you for the invitation. I'm gonna leave my cap on if that's it, if that's okay. And, I must add this disclaimer that the opinions, in this presentation are primarily those of the author and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Environmental Quality or the management thereof. And so, there's things that have been on my mind for a long time, and you're turning and things, changing times. These are changing times. They really are, where things change rapidly. It's a Bruce Springsteen song, and he introduces it by saying, "And I hate change." I'm an older dude, so I don't like change that much, but change is coming and there's no way to avoid it. Bob Dylan is an American musician. He has so much of a body of work that he has. And the times they are changing. And this is from a Bob Dylan song. This is an old song. You don't need to be a weatherman to know which way the winds are blowing. There was a group called the Weather Underground during the Vietnam era. That was an anti-war protest group. And they were called the Weather Underground. That came from this with Bob Dylan. I've always been fascinated by the Dust Bowl. I grew up on a farm. My hometown is Walnut, Iowa. It's exit 46 on I-80 as you go east from Omaha. And I remember some droughts. We didn't have a lot of those, but the Dust Bowl is significant in American history and really in the history of the world. But you can see here these clouds. And if you go back and look at some of the documentaries and listen to the people that lived through that and what they would say about these things. It happened for a number of years in the 1930s, just say started in 1932 and went through 36 maybe for those years. There was extreme extended drought. Okay, that was the first thing. We know about those droughts. It's getting very dry here again. I run into fire trucks all the time heading out because there's things that's going on. There were also tilled prairies where they had plowed them up and changed them, and so that provided took away the stability that the soils had, and this was really unheard of. The affected areas you can see here really were in the Texas and Oklahoma Panhandle, southeast corner of Colorado, and really a lot of Kansas. And it was there was a greater effect than just this. This is the most intense part of that whole situation that took place in the Dust Bowl days. Dust storm damage. This is more like it where it went into Nebraska, down into Texas, Oklahoma, and up into the Dakotas and even Montana and Wyoming. So these are all the Dust Bowl states. And with climate change, who's to say that we won't run into this kind of thing again? I don't know, but I do know that there will be peaks and that the extremes will be accentuated and we will experience things that we haven't experienced before. And that's just obvious. You can deny that if you want, but the facts that we see would confirm otherwise. There was a great migration during that time. I love this slide here. You can see they've got their boombox down on a running board, and so this is 1930s. Now this car was not a 1930s car. You see the rims? What are the rims? Somebody tell me. They're wooden spokes. They're wooden spokes. Model Ts had wooden spokes on them, and you can see all of these things. So these are some of the people that were displaced and left that area. It was the largest migration in American history. 2.5 million people moved out of the Plain States. And this, our reference said 20,000 moved to California. I read in another place it said it was about 100,000, so I'm not really sure. Those were the Okies, memorialized in John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath. Where did the Grapes of Wrath come from? Where did it come from, that phrase? Grapes of Wrath. Battle Hymn of the Republic, trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. And so that, I didn't know that, but in going through this, I found that out. The Grapes of Wrath. The US population was about 126 million in 1934. So approximately 2%. This was a great migration. This was significant in this movement that hadn't experienced in this nation's history. 1776, so 150 years, something like that. And this was one of the groups heading out there. That would be scary. I was in Redding, California for 4.5 years as district engineer, and I made that northern and southern trek many times to go in a vehicle of this type with this kinds of things, all your worldly possessions and your family here. That had to be terrifying. And these people were not always treated well. The causes were that the farming practices were not good. The prairies had been tilled up, and we see now to go back and establish. We have the prairie, the natural preserve in Osage County, and there were that went well until they ran into this time when there was extreme drought. And during the Dust Bowl, there was not much of anything there. The people would wake up in the morning, they would see these clouds coming, and it would just invade their house and be all over the windowsills. It would get in the house. There was no way that could be avoided. There was a loss of topsoil. I have trouble getting my arms around this, that the blowing dust would take topsoil and just move it. But if there was enough energy and it was dry enough, that could happen. And so that led to what I call pockets of poverty. That's not original with me, but it's a rural ghetto. It was a permanent change to the face of America. It really, really was. And this led to the establishment of the Soil Conservation Service and those other types of government programs to try to change this whole thing. If you go in Northwest Oklahoma today, and I can't tell you where, but I've personally seen these things, there are windbreaks that were planted, and there are bodark trees and stuff like that where they planted these windbreaks to hold that, to stop the wind, to stop the soil, and to retain those issues. At the Governor's Water Conference, there was a fascinating presentation that the people had on the Ogallala Aquifer, which is a sandstone formation that underlies a great bit of the mid part of this nation. And you can see to the right, that's where we'll start, is the one on the right. And that it has to do with the withdrawal of this water. And so think of this. This is a mine. This is a mine. And what we're taking out is water. We're mining water that's been there for thousands, millions of years. And we're mining that water just like you're mining zinc or copper or gold from mine. And you're doing that and using that. And if you go out here in this area like Boise City and Liberal, you'll see circuit, center pivot irrigation. And that's what they're doing out there. The water levels are dropping. And so they grow a lot of corn around Guyman and other things like that. That's an intensive water use type of thing. So the Ogallala here, and the presentations at the governor's water conference were to measure the depth. And imagine this is an egg carton, okay? It's an egg carton, which means that it varies in depth, how deep it is. And generally speaking, it's thicker around here in the lower part of this in Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas. And as you get into Nebraska, it's not as thick. And so it varies in depth, and the depth determines how much storage that there is in these things. And if you go to Guyman as you drive out there, it's really quite pronounced. I have 4 grandkids. 3 of them have finished professional schools, and the 4th one is in process with that. And as I look at their future, sustainability is something that's really that we need to consider. And sustainability should be a part of everything we do, and just a mindset that you grab a hold of. How can we recycle things? How can we minimize water use? How can we have sustainable practices to allow for the future? And so I just throw out these 4. And the first 3 have been my first top 3 Oklahoma businesses with a sustainable business model. And I've had those for a long time. And then we'll talk about OnQ in the last one. Brahms Dairy Stores, I love their business model. And you'll see over the years, they had smaller stores, and then they bought property and they built larger stores. And what did they add? The fresh market. So it's like a mini supermarket that you can go there. I've been down there. They got their own water plant. They're vertically integrated, bringing stuff from the Panhandle. They've got around 5,000 cows. And this is a pretty good operation, the way that they operate. And Brahms Dairy Stores. They came out of Kansas. There was a non-compete Bill Brom had. That's over with, and they're in Kansas, and they expand, but they expand in a controlled and a planned way. Love's Country Stores. When we came here in 1972, this is a true story. Tom and Judy Love and their 4 kids were neighbors to ours, not right next door, but next door to the next door neighbor. And we didn't know anything about them, and he was starting out. Where did Tom Love have his first station? Oh, y'all are from Oklahoma. You should know this. It was in Watonga, and it was called Musket Oil Company. It was in Watonga, and you can go there today. It's still there's a thing where Tom went there and did that. They have a great business model. You'll see that they've changed their emphasis. It used to be like I would be going west, like I told you, to California. And I would go through Albuquerque, and it would be by the interstates. There's one at Shelby on I-80, pretty close to where I'm from. And they've had an expansion, but they changed their emphasis. There's one in Guthrie and one in Pauls Valley, where they went across the street, build a bigger thing, and they take care of trucks. And that's their emphasis. So the one in Guthrie, you can go drive there after you go to OSU and see them lose or whatever, and you're on your way home. You can stop there, or you can stop at the place where the trucks are on the other side. Both of these companies are privately held. They've got bankers with deep pockets because money seems to be no object to them. At the passing of Tom Love, it'll be interesting to see what happens to Love's, but I think all the family works there, but they have professional management. The third one's the Chickasaw Nation. And I've known Bill Anatelby, the governor of Chickasaw Nation. I've known him for years and years and years. He's a very bright guy, very able, very funny. And he's just a really, he's provided such wonderful leadership. When you see the top 50 in the Friday magazine, he'll be one of the top 50 Native Americans for a long time. They didn't get in a melting pot. There was a lid on for Native Americans. They couldn't get in there. They're setting the example. If you're Chickasaw, a young person, the sky's the limit to what you want to do. You want to go to medical school, you want to get a PhD, all that kind of thing. It's paid for and they're there because they've got the model of how you operate. When they had the ready mix company in Ada, when they bought Vedre chocolates, there was pushback. So what did they do? They come out and Neil McCaleb comes out and talks about we're in a canoe going across the lake and we all paddle. Don't knock a hole in the canoe. It'll damage all of us, but we can all be successful if we work together. And then OnQ. OnQ is kind of a mystery to me. I think it's from Stillwater and I think Griffith is the guy. And every one of those he builds is bigger and better. And every one he says is his last one that he's going to build. But you go in there in the morning and what are you going to see? You're going to see construction crews and the people from City of Oklahoma City, Public Works, Parks, Rec, whatever. You're going to see the people that mow yards. You're going to see all of that kind of stuff. They horribly abuse the men's room. They get drinks. They fill up their things with fuel. Same thing at the end of the day. OnQ is closing. They've got a sustainable business model. That will be sustainable for the future. So incorporating resiliency aspects through technology and change in approach. We've talked a lot about low impact development concepts, green infrastructure. Yeah, we need to adopt that. And that really hasn't happened, but it is happening as we go along. And so we need to set those things in. We need to use technology. Okay, if you were in Guyman and you were the state legislature from Guyman, what kind of things would you try to do with government programs to provide for sustainability of using the water resources that's there? I think you'd use technology. I think you would use soil moisture things. You would use GIS applications. You would use those kinds of things. So when you did irrigate, that what you did was the best possible use of water. Technology has changed things. When I was a kid, my dad farmed with a team of horses during World War II. He got one of the first John Deere A's that had come out after the war when John Deere quit making radial aircraft crankshafts and Sherman tank components and started making agricultural equipment again. He got that John Deere A. It's one you opened the petcogs and turned all that stuff. It was a fantastic thing. That has all changed to dry land farming now. And I was there when they were harvesting, and the Harders farm, my folks' place, 390 bushels per acre. How big's a bushel? Derek, want to show us how big a bushel is?
I'm just taking a guess at it, but
It's about this big around and about that deep. And that's shell corn. 100 bushel acre of ear corn, like roasting ears. That's what we used to do. Now they have these huge combines and you have to have the same headers. You do your planter, and most of them are at least 8 rows. Technology has changed things. They use GIS plant and they drill the corn in and they put it just as damn close together as they possibly can. They just drill it right together. That didn't used to be the case. We as regulators, we should set the pace. We should be setting the pace. DEQ, ODOT, OTA, I don't mean to pick on them or anything, but the state regulator, regulating agencies should set that. And municipalities, we should all be setting the pace for the general citizens, and they'll come along when they see the benefits of that. My dad was like that. He would resist things like terracing and stuff. Once he adopted it, he pushed it all into the middle of the table. Everything he had went into that, and he would change entirely and use those new types of things. So we need a change in attitude. And if you kind of stay with me, I think all these things will tie together. Changing times require changing procedures. Boy, do they ever. We don't like to change. Makes me uncomfortable. Thank you for helping me register this morning. I had that same thing when my beautiful car got ruined by that ditch that pulled in front of me. And I went out to the car part thing, and you have to do that. You have to do that to get on the register for them to see you. So Copart, I had to do that. Old dog learns new tricks. We have to have reasonable requirements. This is from contract law, and I do this a lot in what we do. You know, some people think, oh boy, being a regulator, you just push people around and you do stuff and you tell them to do things and they go and do it. Far from it. It's far from that. It's a lot more where you try to reason with people and get them to adopt things and see it your way. You always have to be reasonable. We just had a settlement conference with somebody that has a place around Tuttle that he's developed, and it's got like 145, but he hasn't sold any lots yet. He's going to have a big payday when it comes there. But when he left, he was really hacked off, particularly at me. And he was hacked off, and then our management didn't like the deal. And I think when you get that, you have where nobody's satisfied, that's good public policy. I really do think that. So what modifications can we make to policy and procedure? Are there other ways of doing things? Well, sure there are. There are other ways of doing things. There's things I'm comfortable with. There's things we've traditionally done, and there's some other things. Do permit requirements fit the times? OKR 10, the construction stormwater, that expires on November 17th, 2027. So there's a while. But permit requirements need to be changed. They need to be changed to catch up with the time. I'll give you an example of that. We used to get the ACERs, and then we'd get a whole bunch of ACERs, you know, the annual report. So what are you going to do with ACERs? What are you going to do to people who didn't do them? You know, what are you going to do? Is that a good use of your time to chase something like that when you've got all these violations going on? You've got to, you know, prioritize things that you're going to use. So permit writers kind of see things with tunnel vision a little bit, seems to me. People like us, the regulators, we have to enforce what's in the permit. So we really need to change those. And there needs to be real reasons, no rationalizing. Rationalizing is a logical way of explaining illogical behavior. No rationalizing. Don't start down that road. If you start down that road, there's no defined stopping point. Well, we've kind of talked about these things, the use of technology, soil moisture sensors, GIS, and genetically altered seeds. Now, I think that big heartburn and all the angst, I think that's kind of died down. But that really is the future, these genetically altered crops, where you can grow things that do better on their own and don't have to have like a lot of water where they're somewhat drought tolerant. AI, artificial intelligence, is the big kahuna. Now, I don't mean the guy that founded Hideaway Pizza in Stillwater. Not that. This is the big kahuna. It has great potential, but it's problematic. There could be really bad things come out of this, and you will read all sorts of things about artificial intelligence. I think it's hard to predict what will happen with that. I do see applications for specialized uses, and particularly where there's humongous data sets. I've just seen a thing in Time magazine, the first AI war in the Ukraine, and they're using artificial intelligence to do all kinds of stuff for the Ukrainian government, for all kinds of things with munitions and ordnance and other things like that. I think it's suited to larger data sets. Okay, now I'll just, I'll just throw this out. This is a bonus offering. This is just me again, it's my opinion. I think not in my lifetime, but we're going to see designer drugs. You will go to the doctor and you'll have something, you may have prediabetes, or you may have something where you have a precancerous growth and things. And they will look at your genome and run through things. And then the doctor will take those things and he will order a specific drug that's designed to treat the malady that you have. You go to the doctor now and he gives you amoxicillin and stuff like that, broad spectrum antibiotic, which is overused, and you know what's come out of there. I think AI has a lot of a great potential. And I think that if you really want to make some money, invest in the people that make the chips that run the AI, because there's a special kind of chip, and I'm not familiar enough with those types of things, but it has the ability to handle huge piles of data. A paradigm shift is, I don't know if you use that term, but I used it a lot. And it's reframing a situation. It's reframing a situation. Like Karen and I would have a discussion and she would want things done a certain way. And then I would want them done a different way. And so take that picture frame and you move it. And how can the reframing of that affect the outcome? How does the reframing and looking at things in a different way? And this does apply very much to when you have a difference of opinion on things. So the sustainability is the ability to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability for future generations to meet their needs. And a paradigm is a model or concept that is accepted by most people in a society, maybe a process, idea, or set of data. And so I throw that out, a paradigm shift. The more objective you are about a situation, probably the more that you will get to a very appropriate outcome. We do enforcement, it's very much top down. We do it within certain parameters and what the management will let us do and what they want us to do. And they always want us to do outreach. Well, outreach is great, but you have to have the people there that you want to talk to. And we've done outreach for stormwater construction. And the one time we really did was in Broken Arrow when Craig Thurman, who was the mayor, and he was involved in that, invited us to the Home Builders Association. Those were the exact people that we wanted to talk to. And typically you don't get everybody, you get more regulators, and we're, preaching to the choir type of thing. We do traditional enforcement, which is legal procedures. There's a penalty involved for violation of our regs. So you switch that and we could do collaboration, Amway, bringing others into it. We can do, if people come to outreach, we would waive 1 year's fee. That makes sense to me. You come to our outreach, we waive your fee. You get something for doing the things that we want you to do. And I've been involved with this, with using an expedited settlement, and that's kind of gone that's gone south on us. And the reason was because they have to have an NOV. There has to be notification. All the enforcement we do, there is the opportunity. They have due process. Not like me dealing with the IRS, where you call and you have to wait 2 days and you still can't get anybody and stuff like that. Application. So what will you do? Carl Malden, Streets of San Francisco. What will you do? What will you do? Are you going to change? Are you going to do things and see things in a different way? And you can make tweaks. Well, that's what most of us would do. We can make modest changes. We can make substantial changes, combination of the above. We can adopt new technologies. Yes, technologies are so beneficial to put us ahead and to allow us to be more effective. So will you choose to be objective and forward thinking? That's really what I'm trying to tie everything together here to be. Come gather around people wherever you roam and admit that the waters around you have grown. Except that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you sink like a stone. But the times they are a-changing. Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall. For he that gets hurt will be he who is stalled. The battle outside raging will soon shake your windows and rattle your walls. For the times they are a-changing. Thank you.
Anybody in the room have any questions for Wayne?
Yeah, well, that's gonna be a hard act to follow. I won't sing. But we're gonna talk about first the events committee, just a few updates for you guys. So as far as, we just held our 2024 Home and Garden Show. For the 2025, we did go ahead and book our booth space for that year. So it's an established thing, it's contracted. So we will appear again at the 2025 Home and Garden Show. Because we booked during the event, we are going to be able to maintain our same booth space. So if you volunteered at this year's event, you're going to go back to the same place, that nice corner area. So we'll have some really good exposure. They have already provided those dates for next year. So it's going to be January 17th through the 19th. Again, that's a Friday through a Sunday. That's been updated on the website. So if you're interested, feel free. This is a URL. Put that on your calendar. As always, we will be putting out requests for volunteers as we get closer to that event this fall. So be thinking if you'd like to volunteer. This is an image exactly from this year's event, the exact location. And we're in the works right now of considering some updates to the booth, the design itself. Give it a little bit of an update, modernize it a little bit. So as we go through that process, we'll be presenting that information to you guys too. The other event that we have ongoing right now is our annual rainbow sale. So we just wanted to give you guys an idea of how everybody's program's performing. So right now, Edmond has 43. And the two groups that are kind of partnering, we've got Norman, Noble and Moore. They have 38, Bethany, Mustang, and Yukon 23. Midwest City at 2. They've also had one of the 275-gallon totes sales, so total of 3 really. Stillwater has 2. Muskogee, our newest organization, this is their first year participating, and they're doing really well at 8. And then Oklahoma City is got 37 rain barrels sold so far. Now, as far as the outreach committee, the biggest thing that we're working on right now is, of course, our annual advertising campaign. So this is our largest outreach effort every year. So this is going to be a combination of digital billboards all over the metro, as well as a radio advertising campaign. Now, when we met last year for our strategic business planning meeting, we presented a survey to everybody and asked for your input. What topics would you like to have discussed during these campaigns? Based on the survey results, the first place was everybody wanted to emphasize, management of grass clippings, leaves, that sort of thing, making sure they don't go down into a storm drain, cause blockages and water quality issues. And then also the newest topic was erosion and sediment control. That was not something that we covered last year. We did cover grass clippings. So we're going to be kind of balancing those two. Second place in that survey was the phrase only rain down the drain. Tied for third was several different topics, including pet waste, pesticides, fertilizer, coal discharges, and floatables. So the outreach committee is going to be considering all of those in our February meeting. We discussed all of these topics and split them up, and we're developing, both the artwork. For now, we're just focusing on the billboards. And once we get that accomplished, we'll be sharing that with you guys as well. But as far as the whole campaign, it's based on the survey results as well. It's going to model 2023. Same budget, same plan, same number of billboards, same radio stations. It's going to be very consistent from year to year. Now, our social media platforms grew a little bit last year. We had our website, then we had Facebook created, and the newest platform is YouTube. So these are just some direct QR codes. It'll take you to each of these accounts. If you haven't already followed, we'd love to have you follow. Facebook has grown very consistently. Just since we last met in December, we had 106 followers then, have 114 now. With YouTube, we have 7 uploaded videos. The videos that we're uploading, there are special training events, there are meetings. So this recording will be on there once that recording is available. All of those are uploaded. So if you're unable to make it to a meeting or if you have to pop out, these are up there for you to review later or share with, your supervisors or other staff if they're unable to be here. As far as the web page, and this goes for Facebook too, if you have any kind of post that you want to share, I try to make sure I mention this to everybody every meeting. If you have job announcements, if you have an event that you'd like to be advertised, please shoot the board an email. We'll be happy to post it as quickly as we can and help boost that to everyone to improve attendance. As far as the web page goes, we have had 9 of those posts this year already. We have not created any new web pages to date. And as far as the web page, we have 13 subscribers on that. So they receive anytime we post something new, they get an alert. And everybody's really interested in the annual report. So for phase 2s, if you're on the calendar reporting period, I know everybody's reports are due at the end of April to DEQ. So right now, the report for 2023 is currently in review by the board. So the plan is when we have our scheduled March board meeting, it will be approved then, and then we'll be issuing that to the membership. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about either any events, committee activities, or for outreach activities? Yeah.
When do you expect the billboard to be live? The billboards shooting for the same time frame as last year?
It'll be a little bit later, probably more the month of April instead of a mid-March to mid-April as we did last year. But yeah, we're going to try to separate them out the same way we did last year, where we did the billboard in the spring, and then the radio is going to be in the fall. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, just give you a quick update on the Regulatory and Training Committee. We do meet quarterly, and this is via Teams. So if anybody's interested in serving on this committee, we would be more than welcome to have you jump aboard with us. There's only, me, Miles Mongol, and Michelle Chow. So we could certainly use additional assistance. These are our quarterly meetings. Obviously, we have one just coming around the corner. We'll also meet in June 5th and August 28th. We don't have a spokesperson, so I'm currently filling that role, and I'm the board liaison. The big items we're working on right now is our National Municipal Stormwater Alliance. We did, the board considered it, met with their executive director, pushed it down to the committee. The committee approved us to move forward with a motion to do a trial membership, and this is free to COSWA for the first year. After we get through this trial and we figure out, how much of a resource it is, then we will obviously have to vote to do a paid membership. And I believe, Rebecca, refresh my memory, is that $250 a year? $250 a year after the first year. So hopefully we have a good report to you on the benefits that we're realizing with the trial membership. The other item we're working on is the EPA Region 6 in support of that Region 6 MS4 conference. That has gone through the board, been pushed down to the committee. The committee has made recommendations, and now it's back in the board's hands to finalize that letter. We hope to have something available for review by the June 12th, 2024 meeting. And lastly, I know we plan on doing EnviroCert in the spring. Obviously, that's upon us. So we're pushing that off to the fall. More to come on that. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, I'll have you talk about that a little bit. And, and then also we're planning for the spring of 2025, the OWS sediment and erosion control inspector training, which should be the same. We'll be able to offer some free seats, and exactly how we did it in 2023, I believe, or was it 22? Was it 23? Yeah. So that's what we're working on. Right now, there's more to come on it. And look, we are going to be close to making it on time. Yes. Sure. We have, we're putting together a letter to really, from COSWA, Central Oklahoma Stormwater Alliance, that will be requesting that EPA strongly consider bringing the EPA Region 6 Stormwater Conference back. So the letter is drafted as such that anybody could take it, whether ODOT or whether a municipality, and just change a few things and also send that out on their behalf. So. Correct.
You guys hear me?
Yes, Jason.
Hey, on the letter, is there a way for us to like put signatures or somehow show support from,
Yes.
you know, a large number of people?
Yeah, that was the intent. Or, you know, each individual municipal government or entity could send it out independently. So multiple letters are hitting. But either way, Jason, we could do a large signature base, or we could do it individually. Still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. So that's what we're working on. That's the intent of it. Yes.
The days. Or
But we have not contacted any other states, but that was the intent too, is to be able to share this with maybe even like Green Country Stormwater Alliance, maybe with our partners in Arkansas and other regions. But we'll be really leaning on, and this is something the regulatory committee needs to talk about, on those resources at the state level to help identify some of those partners we could get. Yes. Thank you. Okay, any more questions on the EPA Region 6 letter? Rebecca, do you want to talk a little bit about? Yeah.
So I wasn't prepared to do this, but we're gonna wing it. I was hoping to get away scot-free without having to say anything today, since we have the new packets, but oh well. So hopefully you guys have seen the description of the verbal judo class that's gone around. It's a really neat class. How many of you have taken it before? Yeah, if you haven't, trust me, it's cool. I can even hear back there. That's why I have my phone going. So yeah, it should be good. We're hoping to do that hopefully in June-ish, June, July, August, somewhere in there. More to come on that, but we will be, figuring out some seats. Thank you to everyone who responded to the survey on that. I think of the 11 respondents, 9 folks were interested in sending one or more people, to it. So if you're interested, great. If not, no worries, but we are going to try to offer, going to help pay for some of the seats for that for COSWA members as well. So.
Okay. So our next, and Julie, I don't want to put you on the spot, but did you want to talk? Oh, you're good. Okay. A little bit about your event that's coming up?
Slide there.
Yeah, come on up, at least so the folks online can hear you.
Yeah, you have to be close enough to the microphone.
So the event that Julie's gonna talk about, that I'm gonna have a couple of sign-up sheets. And she has one of them and all 2 others.
Probably can't hear you on the microphone.
Online.
Okay.
So where is the microphone?
Okay. The computer. For online folks, we're passing around a sign-up sheet right now, for each of these events. If anyone is interested in volunteering for any of those, to man the booth or to help Julie, with her festival, please let us know either in chat or send just me or the board or Julie an email, as appropriate.
Okay, so every year, City of Yukon puts on a festival called Festival of the Child in conjunction with our Parks Department. And it's a very well-attended festival. It's outdoors at our biggest park venue, and the whole place is covered with booths. Families bring children. It's focused on things that kids are interested in. And so since I have an educational component to my program, I have had a booth there since, I guess, 2019. I think 2020 we didn't, but so I take my watershed model, which is the Enviroscape model, and I have that. And then I also have a drawing to win a kid's kayak. So that kind of gets them between those 2 things. It draws people to the booth. And they've been kind of setting me up kind of close to the swimming pool lately, because one of the activities that they do is they teach kids how to kayak in the swimming pool. That's one of the activities. So I'm right outside there. And so then they're like, oh, you know, come, we do kayak and learn about water quality. So I don't get too serious with the kids because some of them are pretty small. So, you know, the Enviroscape model is kind of it's an educational tool, and it has, if you read how to do it, it's very scripted, and you're using like food coloring and cocoa and different things like that to show, just the different things that can happen, get applied to land that the rain will wash off. And it looks like a big lake with creeks coming to it. There's a little town area, and there's a road that goes through and bridges, and then there's an agricultural area. So you have like, you know, you have things like tractors and cars and houses. And then the kids, what they do is they make it rain with a spray bottle. So I don't let them touch the food coloring because you don't want them to get it all over their clothes and everything. So it's kind of a controlled, but they want to play and they're excited about it. And so I kind of let them play a little bit more and wreck cars and things like that, because if you have a car wreck, you're going to have all kinds of oil and all kinds of stuff all over the road. So you can rain and show where that gets washed off to if you don't clean it up. So anyway, they have a fun time, and sometimes I have to shoo them off because they don't want to quit playing. So you try to take like small groups, like 4 or 5 kids, their parents kind of stand back, and you'll do maybe, you know, like 5 or 10 minutes talking. And then either before or after, then I say, then you can go register for a kayak. So I need help with somebody manning the kayak part of it, and then people that want to learn how to do the Enviroscape model. And then, and if anybody wants to learn how to use it, if you ever want to borrow it for one of your events, you know, I'd be glad to loan it out, because if you want to buy one, it costs about $1,000 to purchase one. And you can, like, the Conservation Commission has them at some of their county extension groups, and sometimes they'll let you borrow it, or they'll come out and do a presentation. I used to borrow Cherokee Counties all the time when I was in Tahlequah, and that's kind of how I learned to do that. And but then here, this is the only thing that I use this for. I mean, a couple of different times I've gone out to schools, but I've found that it's really hard to get into the school system. So at this event, they're coming to me, and it's the right, you know, it's school-age children. And like, I'll reach about, I mean, you can't even talk by the end of the day. So that's why I need help. But because I can't just do it for 8 hours straight. But you get about 300 people coming to your booth, and you know, the parents get educated too. So it's a good activity. So if y'all want to come help, it's fun. If you let me know ahead of time, I can get some t-shirts, and they provide lunch. And so, you know, just need a couple of people. If you can come for an hour or 2 hours, or I'll be there all day. So I take all the help I can get.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, as far as the other two events that we're asking for volunteers, I know earlier when Derek was talking about the speakers that the board has had at our meetings, one of them was Will Hagenbuck, you saw. So Will approached the board. He is the head naturalist at Martin Nature Center. He is the one that actually brought this, the third event that you see here, the Zero Waste Showcase. He brought that to our attention and requested that COSWA attend the event. So just like the name implies, zero waste, it's talking about reuse, composting, those types of topics. Fertile Ground, I know a lot of you are aware of that local company. They're going to be present there, you know, providing presentations. So anyone that volunteers, you know, you just be prepared to kind of speak about, we're going to be pushing our rain barrel sale. Obviously, this is going to be in July, so our event's going to be over by that point. But, you know, we can let them know about that program, and that's an annual sale. Talk about, you know, composting 101, rainwater conservation, those types of topics. And then the Oklahoma Water Resources Board, the Water Appreciation Day at the state capitol. I have never attended this event before, but this is something that the board has been looking into recently. But it's definitely an opportunity for us to appear at the state capitol, you know, state legislators, and that type of audience. So we think that would be a really beneficial place for us to appear, possibly turn that into an annual thing. But we would really appreciate anybody if you're willing to attend, at least with the Water Appreciation Day. That is during a work day, so that's on a Monday. So if you can get permission from work to appear and volunteer for a few hours, that's from 9 to 3. It'd be kind of fun up here inside the rotunda too. So does anybody have any questions about any of these possible events? Yes, sir.
COSWA have a display of booth in or what that can consist of?
Sure. So the question Wayne had was, does COSWA have basically a booth display and table displays and that type of thing? And the answer is yes, we do. We have table covers. We have acrylic displays for, you know, brochures, postcards, that sort of thing. You know, we usually end up having to get giveaways, you know, from our members as well, but COSWA is developing those as quickly as we can. But we are able to provide that support. Yes. Yes, Julie. It's definitely something we can talk about. We haven't really delved too deeply into that event particularly, but yeah, it's definitely something we could consider. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would love if the educators can make it to that event. I know it might be kind of tough. I don't know if a lot of schools are in session still, April 29th. are they getting out or testing? But yeah, I would love to have educators there if they could see that. I know that, I mean, kids love that, you know, as you implied, they love that model. Mhm. Mhm. No, I agree with you. I think that would be a great addition. Okay. I do want to pop back to the meeting, our next meeting that's scheduled in June. So it's June 12th, and it's actually going to be down in Norman at that time. So if you have gotten the invitation for this meeting oh, you haven't sent that out yet? Okay. When that is going to be sent out, this map that you see up on the screen is going to be attached to that. So you will have this as a resource when we send that invitation out for the meeting. Okay, and Rebecca just said she's going to be sending out that invite this week, so it'll be on your calendar soon. Okay. Well, we did great today. Sure.
So the inspection software that we use to check out and full web and they're closing shop.
Yeah.
Could we get like people that have experience with other inspection softwares? I don't know if there's other municipalities affected by this, but I don't want to demo 12 different ones. Do people have, could we give like recommendations or something on software that people use?
So the question was regarding software that's used to kind of track an MS4 stormwater program, MS4 web.
Yeah, that's.
You mentioned is, I guess, going out of business.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that. So if anyone either online or in the room, if you use software as part of your stormwater, the implementation of your stormwater program, we'd love to hear your recommendations, your thoughts, and see if we can collect some of those and then share that with the membership. And that's unfortunate because I know a lot of people use that.
That would be, I just don't want to get a year for the service. We should not do it. You know what I mean? Because I've demoed some other ones when I had when we were shopping and got in this for web. I've heard some bad things about some, I didn't do it.
Okay, we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
I do want to put one last request. If you haven't yet signed in today, if you would please use the QR code, both everybody in the room and online, just to make sure we get a accurate count of everybody that was able to come today. Okay. Well, if anybody has any questions, we will adjourn. Thanks, guys, for coming today. Appreciate it. And thank you, Edmund, for hosting. It's beautiful facility.
Oh, I gotta do the attendance too.
I hope you have to make it. I've been saying, I'll take a picture. You know, I've seen.